hang out and get Rebecca K on the phone from rosecoloredlove.com. All right, we got you.
Yay!
Rebecca K, everybody! We did it!
We're doing it.
We're doing it. So you're in the park right now in San Francisco, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I'm in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. I got kind of trapped here because the traffic is so crazy.
Oh my gosh, so it's about 4:15 out there. And you have to drive everywhere, so I can only imagine how nuts it is right now, right?
Yeah, on a Sunday, everyone's out and about. Tons of people at the park. Except we kind of cleaned out this area. It's pretty empty right now.
That sounds good. So you got the park to yourself. It's fantastic. All right, so I want to go into this whole concept that I'm talking about here. It's basically I was thinking about the other day where when you're looking for a job,
Yeah.
it's very similar to how you go through the interview process, right? You dress up really nice and things like that. I took a bunch of notes, and I'm going to go through my notes, and you just jump in whenever you want, all right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds good. So, the first thing that I thought of is back in the day when I was in high school, right? When I was really young, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I saw, a commercial for, like, Taco Bell, because that was definitely my first job. And
Yeah.
I looked online.
Mine was McDonald's.
Oh, see? There you go. You were over at McDonald's, and I just remember that, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to do that job for a long time. So for me, it was like, kind of like the first girl that I was dating, where I definitely, I knew I didn't want to really be with her for a long time. I just wanted to do a little getting some stuff in my hand, like money and, and whatever. Use your mind however the way you want to use it. But, and even at the time, it was like, I kind of was in the mood to, like, kind of date a couple girls. So, I just like the same thing with my job. Like, I had a couple jobs at the same time. I feel like there's a lot of similarities in what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, when you're first starting to date people when you're younger, there's no sense typically of commitment. I mean, a lot of times I find right now at the age that I'm at, you see resistance in dating because if I start to date you and you're in your late 20s, that might mean marriage is the next step. So there's this pressure of, is she the right one? But when you're in high school and 16 and you're starting your first job, there's so much more freedom in dating someone.
Exactly. So, you have a couple jobs, you're just happy to be making some money, It's kind of just like dating where, you're happy to probably get some, things like that. I mean, we're just going to throw it all out there right now. So then, eventually you end up going to college. You end up figuring out what it is you really want to do. So essentially it's like you start learning more about the girl that you really want to be with. You know what I mean? Like you really figure out what qualities of the girl it is that you're really looking for. And then, and then at the same time, maybe you go into an internship. You start hanging out with girls that are very similar to what, you really want to be with and stuff like that. And then, maybe even at the time, maybe even at the time you have a random job. It's like you're dating a random girl at the same time or something like that. You know what I mean? Just to get you by, because everybody's got needs. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I could see like those college days when you apply it to work is very experimental. Like college in itself is defined as like a time of experimenting and all of that. So I could see where that connects. And like I look back at my my college experience, I actually ended up dating someone for almost all of college and getting engaged, but I had people around me. Like I was an extreme, but I was still figuring things out. And yeah, I think things start to get to a different level of seriousness, and there's a higher percentage of maybe finding quote unquote the one. But it's definitely a different level. And I think, like you said, maybe you're experimenting and getting to know all sorts of different people, because usually you go away to college and you're in a different atmosphere than you've been the majority of your life. some people come from more of a small town or kind of shelter, and then they're going to college and it's like so much freedom. So you get to really do you.
Exactly. You know, you start to figure it out what you're getting into, and I totally forgot that you were engaged during college until you just mentioned that. Yeah, that totally just refreshed my memory. I was like, oh yeah, no way. Which is funny. Could you imagine that different life that you would have led if that were to happen?
Well, it all comes down to decisions. I mean, I could have been married and move forward with that, but college was coming to an end and I had to start to make adult decisions, and I saw my life going in a different path. And it actually, funny enough, had a lot to do with my career at that time, and not feeling like I could in that relationship pursue the things I really wanted to. I felt like I had to maybe sacrifice a lot of choices and to move forward in my career. Mm-hmm. So this has been a topic that's been really heavy on my mind lately, because I had a conversation with a girlfriend and we were talking about successful people, and sometimes the most successful people find themselves single because they put their career in front of dating someone, and talking to people that can really balance it out and find the right collaboration of relationship and career. Because I think once you have stability of, you feel good in your job, you feel like you can support yourself and a partner, there's a different level. You're ready to commit,
right,
and settle down. So
definitely. And you touched on something that I wanted to use as a transition to the next part of this too, which is really great. When you talk about how, towards the end of college and towards that transition of what we're looking for and what we're trying to get out of and stuff. For me, it's like there's different scenarios that end up happening out of college. Puffin, you better knock it off.
That's the other dog that's with me.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Are you dog sitting right now?
No, I have a friend and a dog with me. That's Chase and Connie. Shout out to them.
Oh, Chase and Connie. So, the next part of this that I was trying to get into is what you do when you get out of college. So either, you have a dream job lined up, that girl that you were working on during college, she turns into somebody that you're probably going to marry, right? Or even that, mm-hmm. Your parents have hooked you up with something, you know what I mean? They hooked you up with either a job, they hooked you up with a dream girl that was like a neighbor or something like that. Or, if you're like me, you're just unlucky altogether, and you got to do what everybody does. You put your resume out there, and with the resume, you mm-hmm. start going on all these different interviews and stuff like that. So with the interviews, I consider the interview to be exactly like the first date, where you totally dress to impress. You totally, you totally had to hype yourself up because you're selling yourself at this point. I'm a salesperson. You're a salesperson. You know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that. Yeah. Sometimes you're telling the truth. Maybe sometimes you throw in a little lies in there, but whatever you got to do, because at the end of the day, you're really trying to impress this person. And on the other end of the spectrum, especially in your position, being, a huge boss at a couple of huge companies and stuff like that, you definitely have to do a lot of hiring and firing. So during the interview process, tell us more, like, especially with dating too, when you go on these dates with these guys where you're trying to figure out if you're going to be compatible, if they're going to work out, and if you think that there's going to be a serious relationship mm-hmm. there.
Okay, let's see if I can organize my thoughts on this one. Well, I'll start by saying this is actually a big reason I stopped doing any form. I've been single maybe 5 or so years. Right. But I stopped doing online dating, and if I do sign up for it, for me, I only last maybe about a week because it feels like a job. Like, I feel like I have to message these people and build a conversation. And then I go on this date, and usually I'm super positive, but I'm going to be straight, transparent, and real with you. If I go on a date and it's like a flop in person, I'm like, I can't get that time back. So it can feel, it can feel defeating. And what's crazy is I actually know some people that have found the love of their life and gotten married in maybe the dating life online. For me, I definitely agree and see where you're coming from. Like a date can be stressful and there's so many emotions because you have to be really vulnerable. You're about to like put yourself out there. And I think as we get older and what you kind of reference, like the dates we've had prior or the relationships we had prior, it's kind of like education and work experience. Like you're absorbing all of this knowledge and experience to contribute towards the next person and then ultimately finding the right one. Like you know what you want in a person and you know what you don't. And
Yeah.
so when you start to see those things, like if I'm on a date with someone, I'll plug in certain things to the conversation that are important to me. Like going to church on Sundays is important to me. So I might plug spirituality into my conversation. And if that doesn't send up like interest in them or they don't really contribute towards that conversation, I might say, ooh, you know, this might not be right because I don't know if my values and the things that are important to me align with this person. And I think it's the same in a job. You know,
Definitely.
recently I just found a new job and I let that job find me, which is another topic I'll chat with you about in a second. But
Definitely.
I had to make sure that this job that I took, if I wanted it to be a career, so let's compare it to like a long-term relationship, I needed it to share the same values that were important to me. So it has, you know, a base of integrity, good communication. Those were things I was looking for in a job and the same things I look for in a relationship. So I definitely see where you're coming from. And just to plug in my other thought, so recently when I was looking for a new job, I actually wasn't looking at all. I felt very drawn to let the job find me. And I actually now kind of feel that way about a relationship too. I've like told myself, stop putting in applications for relationships. Like my resume's out there and my resume is me, you know, just being me and waiting
Absolutely.
for the right person to see my resume and say, hey, she has all the qualifications I'm looking for. So it's weird, but that's kind of been my mentality towards it currently.
Yeah, definitely, and I can relate because for me, you know, I totally before I met Ruru, I totally gave up on dating and everything. I totally was just like, you know what? I was in the same boat. I had all the apps. I had like the profile on Matches.com and all of them, and then I was just like, you know what? Like I'm done. Forget it. And you know, I just like the way that we met. It was so great knowing that we actually met somebody through a mutual friend. Somebody that has known me forever, has known her forever, and then I don't even think that this person even thought that the two of us were gonna end up, getting intimate in the same way and stuff like that. Another thing that you touched on that I really thought about was like, the previous experiences, and it really shapes for what you're looking for and stuff like that. And for me, I definitely relate to that where it comes to like. For me, as I was going through my job search and stuff like that, I'm not allowed to talk about any of that yet. Ruru cut me off. She said, "Nope, you're not doing that yet.
It's okay.
It's too fresh.
Stays between you two."
Exactly. But a lot of the things that I didn't realize when I was younger didn't matter. Like for instance, working really long hours to the to 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. To me, I didn't realize how much that those, made a difference in the overall aspect. So when I went into where, this transition that I'm even going through in that I realized that was one thing for me that I didn't want anymore. You know what I mean? I wanted to have normal banquet hours.
Yeah.
Not allowed to talk about it. That's it. That's the only tease that I'm really going with. but
no, I think it's really cool, and you don't have to go into it anymore, but I completely agree. And I'm a dreamer and I'm a romantic, so I think I've always had it in my mind that it would just happen naturally and organically. And I think some people wait for that and they find the right thing, and then some people make their love life happen, and that can work in some scenarios, but I really think there's something special about waiting for life to just kind of happen. And that right person coming along. Because I think then all the stuff that you brought up, like dressing to impress and all that, yes, it's still there on that first date, but there's something easy about it. Like there's something right about it, and you just know, because it happened divinely, or it happened through mutual friends, and you have a level of comfort in it. So that's personally the kind of relationship I'm holding out for. Like, I'd rather wait and be patient and let this person and just kind of come to me. And that doesn't mean like they have to find me, but
I'm right here. Look at me.
I'm right here. In Golden Gate Park right now.
San Francisco, United States.
But yeah, I think if I can just be me and keep my eyes open and my head up, but not taking so much time to try to make it happen and like force it. So many people will be like, oh, what if I miss it? You're not going to miss it. Like everyone's story's laid out already. Like, it's going to happen how it's going to happen. We just get frustrated because it's not on our time frame. And so, yeah, just be patient to all those other people out there.
Exactly.
And, but I think you should. I think when you come to a relationship and it's a first date and you dress to impress and you try to put out your best self, that means a lot. I mean, if you've ever had a date with someone and they show up looking like a bum or, aren't really like respectable, then sayonara.
Yeah.
So.
The other point I wanted to make, especially with the dressing to impress, is it's funny because the other Rebecca in my life wrote on my notes, eventually you don't care what you look like. as one of those things that once you get comfortable and things like that, you definitely just change to where you're at and things, and then eventually you make that transition to where you're at. Now, I also made some notes on having a crappy job and how you feel and how I related this to relationships. You'll be able to figure out too. Like, because, a lot of the times you do have a crappy job, especially when you're in college or, when you're out of college for 2 years. All right, that's it. I'm done. That's all I'm doing with. But, when you really promise like A, B, and C, and they barely even deliver on X, Y, and Z, you invest all of your time and you barely see any sort of return on that investment of your time and your money and things like that.
Yeah.
Some of these jobs, especially, if you work in fast food and things like that, it's full of drama. Yeah. It's very abusive and things like that. And, they you kind of feel like they cheated on you, especially when you put in all this time, you put in all this effort, and, you see somebody else get a promotion or you see somebody else get bumped up and you don't get that raise or anything like that,
Yeah, I'll definitely, I have a comment on that. I think it's interesting because even in a job you might stay with forever or a career that, you retire with, there's going to be moments where it's tough and you go through hard things. And like the other Rebecca said, like, later on you might not care what each other looks like clothing wise. Like, you might not dress to impress. I think that happens in our work life too. Like, you get comfortable and accustomed and you start to like mold to it, and then it's easy to become resentful in situations. And so my advice, which comes from someone much smarter and experienced in a marriage than I am, right, their best advice that they gave me is they asked, when's the last time you changed the oil in your car? What about you, Timmy? When's the last time you changed the oil in your car?
The last time I changed my oil in my car was about 2 months ago, but the laughing joke with everyone is that my car sucks, and that's a different time. But anyway, keep going to what you're talking about. Everything's breaking on my car.
A lot of people think about the oil in their car, and they'll change the oil in their car, but they won't actually take time in a good relationship to do an oil change on that relationship. So they won't take the time, even when things are good, to make sure it continues to grow to be better.
Well, how do you do it?
So they wait until...
How do you do an oil change on your car?
I don't know all the technicalities, but you're draining the old oil and you're filling it with...
Oh, no, I meant on the relationship. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think it would have been funnier if you explained how to do it on a car. Now, how do you give an oil change in a relationship?
Was a mechanic, so I got a little bit of knowledge. But it's, for example, taking time to strengthen your relationship. Are you, I guess my point is a lot of people wait until a relationship is crumbling to fix it instead of trying to make it strong during the relationship. So maybe it's going on a vacation and just spending time, you and that person. Maybe it's going to like a relationship retreat or seminar to, I don't know, grow and learn from other people. Like, too often people go to fix a relationship instead of building it in the moment and giving it those like constant oil changes. So just making sure you have a timeline, maybe 3 times a year, just like you want to do the oil change on your car 3 times a year. Right. You're taking 3 times to really invest. So
what you're really saying is basically being proactive.
I lost my dog.
Oh, do you need to go get your dog?
No, it's okay. I was like, wait, I lost my dog.
It's a good thing we don't have children yet.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. We're doing it live. No. It's like it's
okay. What are your thoughts on that?
For me, it's what you're trying to say is that it's really important to be proactive instead of being reactive, because if in a lot of relationships you end up doing things because of what happened. You know what I mean? It's like when your car breaks down, you didn't, to use the same analogy, it's because you didn't change the oil when you were supposed to, and now whatever happens. And things like that. So that's basically where you're going with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good feedback. Thanks. so all right.
Glad it was received.
So, one of the final points I wanted to make is when it finally comes down to a good job. Now, very similar to what you're saying before, a lot of the times, just like the good girl, it's when it comes out of nowhere. Just like you said before. Now, this person, she promises on A, B, and C. She's got references. She's got reviews online. She's, other people in the community know her.
Recommendations?
Yeah, recommendations. Well, I mean, that sounds gross. If we're talking about girls in that sense.
From friends.
Yeah. You think that, yeah, exactly. But she's, you do have friends that are like, oh yeah, she's a really good girl. She's a ruru, basically,
She's a keeper.
Yeah,
she's a keeper.
She's a keeper. And then, so you're ready to make that long-term investment, and you can see a future together. But maybe they're selling you on the same sort of aspect, but at the end of the day, just like the Monster.com app, you can always swipe right. They have new jobs now where you can just swipe right. I thought it was funny. I used it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know.
I get the reference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think, well, that's the thing, too. I think it can go the opposite way. People can jump into thinking they found the right person, but actually not be in the right place in their life to receive that relationship. Right. Super corny, but I love Freddie Prinze Jr. and Sarah Michelle Gellar. They've been married for like 15 years, and they're the cutest couple. But they just had their anniversary, and he like did a video or something just explaining why he's had such a strong relationship for 15 years. And he's like, you really had to get to a place where you were both secure with yourself, that you felt secure and successful where you were in life at that moment, that if someone else came around, it wouldn't faze you. You wouldn't be looking for like, a cuter girl to snatch or to swipe right, like you said.
Exactly.
You're ready to commit and settle with this person. So sometimes people think they're there too, and they jump into it. And then, unfortunately, it could lead to a breakup down the line. Who knows? But I think when you can have open communication and kind of share where you're at, when it's right. And so I think that takes a lot of responsibility on ourselves to make sure we're honest with ourselves, and if I'm in the right place to be in a relationship, and making sure that person is too.
Definitely. Yeah, no, it totally makes sense, because it's like, so I definitely didn't feel like I was in the right time or in the right place where where I was and where I'm ending and stuff like that. And it just it's just as far as my career goes, because it's like I literally, that word comes into play where it's like I didn't see the long-term benefit for what I was really looking to accomplish and stuff like that. So at least now there's an opportunity to where I can really find that, and just like I got with the rooster, you know what I mean? And she actually sent me a text. She says hello, and she also says at the end, make sure you comment about Rebecca's video relating to finding the right job and career path. So tell us more about that video that you had put out.
Wait, sorry, I don't know if my picture is still there. Sorry if it's gone. Can you ask that again? Which video?
The video that you made on rosecoloredlove.com, for everyone that will be checking this out after, on your video relating to finding the right job and career path.
Oh, yeah. Be your own manager.
The Be Your Own Manager video. That's what it's called.
Yeah. That's something that my mom has, honestly. We all got those gems that we get from our parents usually, or that parental figure that sticks with us, and that's one of them. I've always known, and as soon as I got into management, I really surrounded myself with people and shared with them, like, make sure you're always your own manager, because sometimes, your actual supervisor or your manager is not going to be able to give you all the attention you need. So you need to make sure you take care of you. And I think so often we get caught up in everybody else's feelings and how is my decision going to affect them. And that's good to think about that and to have that, I guess, like compassion and empathy. And so just a reminder, and I think that ties into relationships too, of making sure you take care of you. I mean, I've been in relationships as well where I stayed in them longer than I needed to, even though I knew it wasn't right, because I cared more about their reaction and how it was going to affect them. And so I feel like careers and how we manage ourselves and then relationships, I think they really marry each other. There's such comparisons, and it was a really good topic to talk about.
So that's why we do it, because it's a good topic.
Yeah.
All right, Rebecca, I think I took up enough of your time. Thank you so much for talking to us about the correlation between having a job and having a career. I'm going to let you get back to your walk. I know that Puffin's probably done, and Colleen, and thank your friends.
He's running amok, like just running around me.
Sounds good. All right, thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
So that was Rebecca K from rosecoloredlove.com. So